The Outlaw Artist, Billy Dean Anderson's Unfinished Canvas. Hey, y'all good lookins. Welcome back to Tangled in Tennessee, where we deep dive into haunting, mysterious, and sometimes downright chillin' tales of Tennessee's past. If you like country music, true crime, history, mystery, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel or on Spotify. I'm your host, Vanessa LaPepion, and today's story gets a little rowdy with some good old gospel. Today, we're diving into the story that blends crime, redemption, and art all in the state of Tennessee, East Tennessee. It is a story about Billy Dean Anderson. Have y'all guys heard of him? I'd never heard of him before. I was looking into Appalachian folklore and his name kept coming up. So I had to check it out and see what he was all about. He was a fugitive who found solace in faith and a paintbrush, yet he could not run his troubled past. Billy Dean Anderson was born in 1934 in the foothills of Tennessee, where the landscape itself seemed to shape those who called it home. The rolling mountains, the dense forests, the winding rivers provided both beauty and hardship, instilling a sense of resilience for those who raised here. Billy's family, like many others, crime was a part of their lifestyle. His mother and father left him very young, and he was raised by his grandparents. Billy is said to hate school. He didn't really like school. He didn't feel that it was something that he needed, and he dropped out by 8th grade because where he lived, usually iron work, working in the mines, that he just thought he was going to be like a laborer and he didn't need school for that. However, he did enjoy when his teacher would bring in pencils and notebooks. He enjoyed drawing, so his notebooks were always filled with pictures. His drawings had a lot to do. He loved to draw biblical stories. He liked pictures of Jesus. He liked to draw pictures of even outlaws like Jesse James. He also was studying to be a preacher. There were many times that he would fill in when he was younger as a preacher at his local church. And when he was 18, he decided that he wanted to be a preacher. And people who went to her sermons called him a fire and brimstone type of teacher. And he liked to see people happy about the Lord. But very soon after, all of that started to change. He went out to popcorn with some of his friends and he pulled out a pistol because he didn't have money and neither did his friends. And they robbed the person that was running the concession stands at the movie theater. In that moment, Billy felt very powerful and he liked the thrill of taking the money. He shot at the attendant, the cashier, but he purposely missed them. He traded his Bible for crime and he hid in a church that he used to preach in with his friends. They stayed in this church almost overnight when the cops were trying to find them. This particular instance landed Billy in jail for 4 months. As a young man, Billy became involved in armed robberies after this. Whether it was from desperation, thrill-seeking, or a sense of rebellion that drove him, he quickly found himself in deep trouble with the law. His crimes caught the attention of federal authorities, and soon his face was plastered on wanted signs all over the country. He had officially earned a spot in the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list, a title that few carried and yet even fewer escaped from. For nearly a decade, Anderson managed to evade capture from slipping through the cracks of law enforcement like a ghost. It is rumored that he spent a lot of his time after these various crimes, he spent them hiding in the mountains where he grew up. He used his knowledge of the region to his advantage. Some say that he sought shelter with old friends and family who turned a blind eye to his fugitive status out of loyalty or fear. Others claim that he got refuge from isolated cabins. Others even claim that he lived off the land as if he were a part of the wilderness himself. Hey y'all, it's time for an ad break. Y'all, let me tell you something. I hate grocery shopping. Ain't nothing worse than fighting them crowded aisles, hunting down ingredients, only to get home and realize I forgot something important. And with a picky type 1 diabetic kiddo to feed, I don't have time for all that guesswork when it comes to dinner. That's why HomeChef has been a total game changer for us. They send fresh, pre-portioned ingredients straight to my door, so I don't have to stress about meal planning. Plus, their meals are actually good. We're talking BBQ pork chops, loaded baked potatoes, and even skillet lasagna. My kiddo eats, and I get a break from thinking about what's for dinner. Win-win, y'all. And right now, Home Chef has teamed up with Minecraft to make dinner time even more fun. With select boxes, you'll get a special in-game reward. So while I'm whipping up something tasty, my kid can be building something awesome. And here's the best part. If you use my link in the description, you'll get 18 free meals with your first box. That's a whole lot of free food and a whole lot less stress for you. Cancel anytime. So if you're tired of meal prep, picky eaters, and last minute grocery runs, give Home Chef a shot. Trust me, y'all, it's worth it. Hey guys, we're back. But even on the run, Anderson sometimes inside, he yearned for more than just revival. It was during these years of hiding he began to rediscover the church, not just as a place of fear and judgment, but a source of redemption. Perhaps it was the constant fear of capture, the loneliness with the life as a fugitive, or the weight of his own conscience. But Anderson found himself drawn back, reliving the teachings of his youth. It was also during this time that he turned to art. Anderson always was creative, but in hiding, he became even more creative in his pastime. He enjoyed painting. It became the means of expression and a way for him to process his past and perhaps even seek an annulment. His works reflected his surroundings, from the mist of the Tennessee mountains to simple yet expressive faces of people that he had encountered throughout his life. His paintings, he painted religious imagery as he did when he was a child. He painted scenes of saints and sinners, of salvation and struggle. Some who saw his work claimed that each brushstroke told a story, one of guilt, longing, and a hope for something better. Anderson's paintings became his silent confessions, his way of communicating what words could never do. Those who knew him during this time described him as a man caught between two worlds, the outlaw and the artist, the sinner and the believer. Through his art, he was trying to leave something behind that was meaningful, something that would outlast even the bad shadows of his past. But as they say, the past always catches up, and it did. In 1979, after years of living as a ghost, Billy Dean Anderson was finally tracked down by law enforcement in his home state of Tennessee. The mountains that once provided him shelter became a stage for his final moments. When federal agents closed in, Anderson refused to surrender peacefully as he's done in the past. Gunfire erupted, and tragically, he was shot and killed. Came to his story came to a close, not in a courtroom or a prison cell, but in the very place where it had began. Yet, even in his death, Anderson leaves behind something more than just a legacy of a fugitive. His paintings, artwork, and those pieces of his soul still remains. They became the testament of a man who had been and a man who wanted to become. His story is a contradictive one, but maybe it's because he was so compelling. It reminds us that people are rarely just one thing. Yes, he was an outlaw, but he was also an artist, a believer, and a dreamer. He proves that everyone has unfinished canvases and stories that we're still trying to paint. It is said that Anderson was held up in a cave in Tennessee, and during his time in this cave that he painted many beautiful murals inside of it. Anderson's story has become a sense of Appalachian folklore. Some see him as an outlaw with a beautiful talent. A lot of them kind of say that he's like a Jesse James, and his story continues on throughout the mountains. So after his death, Anderson was buried in the local church that he grew up in. It was a community center, a sanctuary, and a place where moral lessons were taught along with the Gospels. Anderson grew up hearing stories of good and evil, redemption and damnation, and perhaps in one way, he always felt that he was teetering between the two. Despite his strict moral upbringing, he was drawn to his own path, one of risk, rebellion, and ultimatums. So he was definitely a complex individual. Let me know your thoughts by reaching out on social media. And if you like today's story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Tangled in Tennessee, and leave me a comment because I read them. And if you have any other stories or Anything that you would like me to talk about next, please leave me a comment. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep those tangles out of your hair. Bye, y'all.